What's up, y'all? Y'all know what time it is. We have a tech testimony. He went from being in the real estate space to now he is a tech sales leader, not even just working in tech sales, it's a tech sales leader at the number one tech company in the world. So, a leader amongst leaders at a top dog of a company. And we're going to talk about his story. And for clarity, y'all, I want to be very clear. He's still in real estate, but now he's leveraging that tech bag, leveraging that network, leveraging those pieces to still be able to elevate what he's doing in real estate. Because again, we're not here to talk about getting in the tech industry and stopping everything else, unless that's your calling, unless you want to make it your full focus to scale in the industry and do some other stuff. Nevertheless, always talk about leveraging the opportunities in this industry and space to be able to elevate what it is either the God's called you to do or elevate what it is you're just passionate about in general. So that being said, y'all, we're going to talk about it. The instructor for the tech sales program that we have, Horace Mackey, was someone who was hugely influential in helping Joseph be able to get in the industry. He's going to talk about that, talk about what was beneficial, what was helpful. But a lot of that exact same knowledge, resources that was given to him are the same we have inside of our Tech Career Accelerator, which is implemented within all of our programs. And what that is, we have collaborations with tech recruiters and hiring managers across 10 of the most major tech companies in the world. We're talking Microsoft, Google, AWS, Oracle, IBM, Salesforce, Workday, and a few others, where we are able to assist you when it comes to job placement at these companies. Now, again, you still have to put the work in, but understand this is more than just you getting the education for a tech role. Y'all know we've helped thousands of people get in the industry just with the education and the resources alone. But now we have this back end piece where we're immediately able to plug you in within a month's time, plug you in with interviews and referrals with the biggest tech companies in the world, and you get to actually choose two of them. That being said, we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. For those of y'all that are on YouTube and LinkedIn, you can check the description if you're interested in either doing the tech career quiz to see what career is perfect for you in tech. And then from there, applying to the companies that we have recruiters and hiring managers at, and then we'll be able to assist you with job placement. And then for those of y'all that are on Instagram, you just need to do is comment tech quiz. Comment tech quiz, and the information will get sent over to you. Y'all know how it works, automations, all that good stuff. Last thing I'm going to say, everyone that has a question, make sure y'all have y'all questions ready, because again, this is a tech testimony, not with somebody who just got in the industry 6 months ago. Usually when we do this, we're interviewing someone who's fresh in the industry. This is not that case. He received the help, the resources a while ago, and he has not just gotten in the industry. He has worked himself up, not just worked himself to get in the industry. He's worked himself up to scale in the industry. Now, again, he's a manager. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So make sure y'all got y'all questions hot and ready, because now you have an amazing resource in Joseph who's on here. So again, Joe, bro, thank you so much, man, for coming on, taking your valuable time, your evening, to come on here to give people some good game, to tell your story, drop some good gems and nuggets. Deeply, deeply appreciate you for this, man. Yeah. Oh, my bad. You waiting for the request. You sent the request. I'm over here yapping. You like, man, I sent the request on Instagram. Like, when are you going to accept it?
Yes, sir, man. Anytime.
All right, I'm accepting it now.
I sent the request. You ain't.
All right, he's about to join on Instagram right now. So on Instagram, make sure y'all put y'all's questions click the drop down above my head, and you're gonna put your questions in the drop down, so that way we can answer your questions. On YouTube, LinkedIn, make sure y'all put your questions in the comment section. Make sure y'all asking some good questions, because again, y'all have an amazing resource in not just myself, but more so in Joseph, who's here. So anyway, bro, so thank you so much for coming on, for taking your time, taking up your evening. Thank you, man.
No worries at all, man. It's a pleasure. Horace reached out. I've been watching your podcast for so long and your Instagram page. So when Horace reached out and asked me, hey, man, just let's have a conversation about some of the things and resources that we've had and how you got into Microsoft, I was like, let's do it. If Horace calls, I'll pick up the phone, man. He's that brother's been a bright light in my tech career for sure.
Bro, that's so beautiful to hear. It's it's so great just when we talk about like helping one another, being resources. You know, each like we hear a lot of narrative in our community. This isn't even like really a part of our topic, but just still we hear a lot of narrative in our community where we talk about each one teach one or supporting one another or reaching back, all of that good stuff. And it's dope when it actually happens and we see the fruit of that and how it doesn't just benefit you and benefit your family and benefit the other people you personally touched and connected with, but now it's spun the block all the way back around to where now your story and your experience is able to benefit the people who are on here now and then the thousands of people that are going to watch this throughout the next few days, weeks, and months. So it's really dope to just see kind of like a full circle type of thing.
I think the number one thing for me is networking, right? So Horace has reached back and probably helped 30 plus people get into Microsoft over his tenure, right?
Yeah.
So whether we're doing something in the office or when I was at the office at Microsoft, and we bringing in undergrad or grad students from Georgia Tech, if he calls, I pick up. If I call him, he picks up, and I say, "Hey, I got something at Tech. I need you for." He on it. If he called me and say, "I got something at Tech. I need you on it," I'm there. Or something like this, right? He say, "Hey, just talk to the people about the resources, the hard work, the dedication, because it's not just going out and getting certificates or being in boot camps. You got to be able to utilize the network that you're going to grasp or get once you're there, and make sure you stay in contact with people. Show up to events, even when you're tired, just got off work, don't want to be at an event from 6 to 9 p.m. and just show up. You never know what may happen that one time that you decide to show up when you felt like you didn't want to be there."
Yeah. No, that's super real. That's so real. Look, man, so we're gonna get into a lot of good stuff. I'm excited. Like I said, I keep saying this, but I'm really excited about this conversation because usually when I'm doing tech testimonies, it's with people that just recently got in. Usually because they were like watching my content and they either did our program or they did another program that we recommended. And so usually it's they're dropping nuggets and gems, but it's nuggets and gems based off them being in the industry for like 1 month to 3 months. And so, but this is something valuable where realistically, y'all, this is going to be incredibly valuable. Make sure y'all are dropping some good questions or just any questions that you have, because again, y'all have an amazing resource of someone here who has experiences that even myself, I haven't had in the industry and a lot of good insight. So let's go back. Let's go back to, I ain't gonna say the beginning, but close to when you were getting ready to get into the industry. So I know you were in the real estate space, and again, you still are. You're leveraging everything to still expand that space. What's up, Woo TV? I see Woo TV in the chat. So what was going on? Like, what was life like? What was going on in your life that eventually led you to say, "Yo, I really should probably look into getting into this tech space"?
Great question. I see Hill just said I got my Scully on. I did that just so I'm answering your question, but I did that to show you all this is how I go to work, right? When I walked into Microsoft, I go into Microsoft with a Scully on. If I walk into SAP, where I'm at now as a sales manager, and it's cold outside, I come in with a Scully on, right? So that's one thing that tech afforded me to be myself that I didn't get to where now I'm going to go where my story originated. Well, not just real estate, but I was in banking as well. So I managed some of the Chase banks here in the Atlanta market. Then I went on to a community bank called Ameris, where I had 2 different locations I managed, not just what's in the 4 walls, but everything that was outside. So that's your commercial bankers, your business bankers, your mortgage loan originators. I had the P&L. Because we were a small community bank. If somebody was missing their car payment, I would have to call and say, "Hey, man, you're 15 days late. I want you to be 30 days late." By the time they get 30 days late, it was me who had to report them to the credit bureau. That's how small the community bank was.
Wow.
And then if you're familiar with Atlanta, you know, Fidelity Bank, I was on the acquisition of Ameris Bank when we acquired Fidelity Bank. So I did all of that.
Man.
I did part of that acquisition. But what happened was I was in banking. And if we're just throwing out plain and simple numbers, let's say my quota for the year is just 100. I have to sell 100 or whatever. I would sell 100 or whatever, and I get paid $100. Well, then one year they said, well, now you have to sell 120 of whatever, and you're only going to get paid $100. So it's basically a discount of 20%. So you're paying 20% less to do a little bit more work. And then my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, we had our first daughter. And I remember we had just bought this house down like Southwest Atlanta. And I was like, man, I don't like going to work every day and getting off at 6, driving through traffic. Banking is shrinking. You may see locations in banking open, but Atlanta isn't a financial sector like Chicago, New York, or LA. So the ladder to get up in banking in the South isn't as great as it is if you're on the West Coast or Northeast. So I said, what can I do to get into tech? And who do I want to work for? I knew I wanted to work at Microsoft. That was
wait. Hold on, real quick. What happened that made you even think, oh, I need to get in tech? Because you, a lot of people, because you went from, okay, this is happening, so I get why you was like, okay, I need to think about something else. But what was it that led you to figure out, oh, yo, this tech industry is something to look into?
And it hates me to say this because I talk to this about friends a lot. I was in the bank, and this Middle Eastern guy came in, and at the time I was a personal banker, and he would come in often and wire money. But this time he came in and he wired about $250,000 to a different bank. I said, why are you? I don't mean to get all up in your business, but why are you wiring $250,000? He was like, are you familiar with blockchain? I said, I know nothing. What is blockchain?
Yeah.
He said, well, I'm going to give you a nugget now. And if you can, go buy some. He said, you can't buy it on a platform, but you have to find out how you can buy it. So I have a broker who's buying this thing called Ethereum for me. This was about 2000. This was about 2016.
Dang.
So we're looking up Ethereum. Then we get on Bitcoin. We get on Litecoin. Those were the top 3 at the time. And I had no idea what they were. So we started buying them and selling them. We're buying Bitcoin at like $12,000. We're buying Ethereum at about $500. And I was like, they kept saying this blockchain is going to change the way that we do work. It's going to change the way that just our lives are going to be. So being in Atlanta, I'm like, how can I get into tech? Again, I'm not in Silicon Valley. I'm not on the West Coast. I'm not in New York. What can I do to get into tech? And this one guy had came in and told me he was going to jump into this MBA program at Georgia Tech. And I'm like, yeah, I wasn't the best model student in undergrad. I'm not sure if I can make that happen. And then my friend had just graduated from the same program. So I said, if I'm going to get into tech, I think my best bet is to take some of these certifications, network, and try to get into Georgia Tech. And that's what made me jump. I jumped forward, got my interview, and off to the races at that point. I got into tech, and I just networked. And one of the first people that I met who was at Microsoft, where I wanted to be, was Horace. Yeah. And that's where our relationship started.
Yo, that's incredible. So that's wild. Let me know in the chat. So for those of y'all that caught that, he said that while he was at the bank, the guy had told him about blockchain and Ethereum back in 2016. I'm curious. Let me know in the chat. When was the first time you heard about Ethereum or you heard about the crypto space? And I'm not going to say the crypto space, but because I heard about the crypto space around that time, but like hearing about it, not just generically, but something specific like Ethereum or blockchain. Like what year was it? Around what year was it that y'all heard about that? I'm curious about that. Another thing I want to point out that he said, a lot of people don't realize this, that the crypto space, that is a part of the tech industry. It's a whole different sector, but that's a part of the tech industry. And so just as we talk about, companies and opportunities in tech, companies like Coinbase, even right now, are mass hiring, and they're even hiring their tech sales interns at Coinbase right now are being paid $100,000 a year. They're interns. And so, and they're paying up to on average, a lot of, not a lot of these specific, let me be specific and say Coinbase. I could talk about other ones, but I know the specific numbers with Coinbase. The average salary they're paying out right now for the mass hiring they're doing is $432,000. And again, I say average because some of the roles they're paying up to 7 figures, like 1.3 million. Now, of course, ain't nobody about to get in the industry. You about to get 1.3 million. You about to get in the industry and get 432,000. I want to be very clear about that. But even if you're not even able to get a job, but just an internship, you're talking $100,000. And again, it's the tech space. And so I want y'all to, understand that. And we'll talk even a little bit about, within Microsoft, because y'all know we hear a lot about certain layoffs happening. And I'm not going to dive too deep into this, So I actually want Joseph to speak on this. We'll talk about this maybe a little bit later. But oftentimes y'all hear about layoffs, but the news doesn't report. The news never reports on mass hiring. And understand a company can be doing mass layoffs and mass hiring simultaneously. It's just they're laying off one sector of the company, or they're doing hiring freezes for one sector, but then they are hiring in large. I don't even want to say like always mass hiring, but like at least in large quantities in other sectors in tech. And that's what we want to pinpoint y'all to, is to like not think of, to make sure that you're going towards what it is that's in demand. So that's why even when y'all do the tech quiz, y'all know on the website we have a tech quiz. We only give you answers or results based on what you selected, but we only have options that are listed, that are in high demand, pay a lot of money, and have a predictive long-term future in the industry. So again, just want to highlight that for y'all. For those of y'all who do the tech career quiz, the answers that you'll get at the end of the quiz, it'll be things that are in high demand, pay a lot of money, and have a long longevity in the future. And automatically after the quiz, you get to choose the 2 companies that you want us to assist you with job placement at, along with the recruiters and hiring managers and others. But anyway, again, those of y'all that are popping in, popping out on Instagram, comment tech quiz to get access to that. For those of y'all on YouTube and LinkedIn, just check the description down below and you'll be able to get access to the site. But anyway, let's get back into the story. Make sure y'all put y'all questions. I don't see too many questions on Instagram. Yeah. Usually y'all be lighting up the questions. So make sure y'all
questions.
Click the drop down, get to the question, because once we wrap up his story and whatever questions in there, we're gonna answer them, and then we hopping off. Because this is a father, this is a married man, it's a husband, this is a man, he's a manager in tech, so we ain't trying to take up all his evening. We want to use the time while it's here. Make sure y'all using them wisely. All right, so Whitney says, yep, like Salesforce news came out today. Yep, mass firing, but also mass hiring. Yes, Salesforce did mass firing for software engineers, and then the exact same day. So I'm not talking about the news you're talking about, Whitney. It's probably the same thing, but December 18th that just passed, December 18th, that morning they announced that they were doing mass layoffs for software engineers. That afternoon they announced they're doing mass hiring for 1,000 tech sales professionals. And then 2 days later, the CEO said, actually, scratch that. We actually are hiring 2,000 tech sales professionals. So just understand, it's real. You just stop. Don't pay too much attention to the news. Look at actually what's happening with these companies and what sectors they're opening up for. Joseph, you got something to say on that?
So a lot of that at Salesforce is coming from 2 different. Well, there's various reasons why that's happening at Salesforce. One is because, of course, with AI, engineering and the way that we've looked at it is going to change forever, right? The CEO of NVIDIA said early 2024, if you are still sending your kids to college, undergrad, for computer information systems, you might as well dead it now, because we'll be able to do coding and anything hard coding. Now we got soft skills where low code, no code, but even your hard coding, that it would be just based on language, right? So simple, plain language, you'll be able to speak into it and you'll be able to code. Salesforce is the best or the largest CRM. They could be the best and the largest in the market. But their AI they're trying to very much compete with Microsoft in their AI space. So in December, they did a mass hiring for account executives, right? Who was typically like the umbrella before you have your specialists, like the point guard who passes the ball to the forward or to the center when he draws up a play. And now they're doing a mass hiring for AI salespeople. So it's first my account executives. Let me get my account executives in there to have the conversations with your C-level executives. And now let me get the specialists, the line of business people who are going to do AI, whether it's AI on this specific part of the CRM or it's AI in specific verticals, whether it be retail, manufacturing. So Salesforce is doing a lot. If you're not on LinkedIn, if you're not promoting yourself, if you're not networking on LinkedIn, you are hurting yourself a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Exactly. Facts. Big facts. Hey, that's good, man. Thanks for those gems and that insider insight. That's all of that. So, all right. So getting back into it now, when you mentioned, Horace being a really good resource, Now you already had knowledge and education. You already had a lot going for yourself that even the average person that's here in the chat didn't have going for themselves. What were some of the value and things that you were able to get from Horace, and whether like knowledge, resources, connections, like what was it exactly? And I know this is a while ago at this point, but some of the things you remember, what was it exactly that was valuable that you think most people aren't aware of or that they don't really have access to?
The most valuable thing is the continuance of networking, right? So a lot of times we think people are putting us off when you speak to them and they say, "Hey, I want you to speak to somebody else," and then they send you to a second person, and then that second person sends you to a third person. You're like, man, they just keep sending me off to people. Horace introduced me to probably 10 to 12 different people who were at Microsoft at that time.
Wow.
And one thing you learn about large tech companies is they don't just want people who want to work. They want people who want to work for their organization. They want to know that you want to be at Microsoft, you want to be at Amazon, you want to be at Google. And if you keep emailing them, oftentimes we think that we're bothering somebody, or man, I don't want to keep messing with this person. It's bruising my ego because I keep emailing them and I keep calling them and they're not responding. Well, what happens is many of us who are in tech space, we get plenty of phone calls from plenty of different people. But if one or two people continues to contact us, then that's probably the person we're going to work with the most. So what Horace did was he ignored me for a while. And I just kept, I kept going at him, right? I kept going at him. And every now and again, he'd send me to somebody else. He'd send me to somebody. They talked to this girl, Cynthia, in New York. They talked to Terrell in LA. Like, this guy Terrell is in LA. What the heck is he going to do with him? They talked to Cedric. Cedric has a strategic account. He covers this account. Talk to Cedric. Talk to my guy in Texas. I'm like, oh my God, bro. I don't care. And then what happened was, again, people want people who want to work for the company. So Microsoft had came out with this, was it the Duo phone, right? The flip Duo phone. And we were in a group text. I take this girl, Victoria, who I met in our program, put me into this group text on WhatsApp. And when anybody adds you to this group chat, everyone kind of says, "Hey, welcome to the group, da da da." Well, I saw Horace's name was there, but he didn't say nothing. So I was like, damn, bro, how am I gonna get this guy to say something? So he put a photo of the phone when it dropped and said, "Hey, this is a great time to be a Microsoft stockholder. You know what I mean? Y'all need to go ahead and go on your stock. Go ahead and buy some stock." Well, just dealing with us as a people, they're in the group. Horace, we don't give a damn about that phone. If I text you and it still respond green, I don't want to touch it. Right. So everybody laughing. And what I did was I used the Microsoft mission. I said, "Hey man, what y'all saying is funny, but y'all need to calm down because I'm trying to join Microsoft, and I want to make sure that I can impact and empower every person on the organization to achieve more. Ain't that right, Horace?" And that's the mission of Microsoft, to impact every person or every organization on the planet to achieve more. And when I said that, he responded, "Joseph, that's what I'm talking about. That's the type of people we want on the team." And then at that point, he gave me a referral and I was able to get my first interview. But we had contacted probably for about 4 months prior to that, and continuously we're talking to one another. And that's how it came about. Once I got into Microsoft, I called him. So I got the role that he had. He moved up. I was a modern work specialist. We were in two different organizations within Microsoft. I became a modern work specialist. He became an AE. But I still was pinging him. "Hey man, who else I need to talk to? Who else is here for me just to navigate and learn more about?" Right. And that's how it happened.
Yo,
Stay in contact.
that's incredible. There's so much to unpack from what you shared. I want to know in the chat, what piece did he say? Like, what nugget did he share that either one was something new or some new information, or two, it reinforces something that you were already thinking or something you'd already learned? One of the things that I love that you had mentioned at the start was you talk about how much you were just nagging, and just, being that squeaky wheel that's going to get the oil. And how, yeah, we do have a lot of pride, especially our community, where we're like, man, I ain't about to do all that to get a job. I ain't about to be blowing you up, man. Man, look, you just need to help me out because I'm a brother, or because I'm this. Like, you just supposed to help me out. And instead, you kept going, but two, you actually took the advice. And whether or not in your head, whether you were or weren't, like, okay, man, this is a lot. You keep sending me to people. You still were doing it though.
Man,
And
at
so I love
every chance I got, I remember the guy Terrell in LA. You got to think LA, and I'm originally from California, right? A small town outside of LA called Pacoima. And the guy Terrell is 3 hours behind us. So I got off work at my bank. I'm taking my wife and my daughter out to go eat somewhere, and a 310 number calls me. I'm like, 310, that's LA. I got to pick that up. It could be family, it could be, I don't know. And here I am in line getting ready to grab something to eat. And it was the guy Terrell from Microsoft. And he was like, hey, Joe, I know you've been calling me, man. I apologize. You got time for a conversation? And I for damn sure wasn't about to say no. So, yeah, man, we got time. And my mother, hey, gave my wife my card. Hi, babe, here you go. Please, y'all just go ahead, order me whatever. I don't care what you get me. I need to take this phone call. But the networking piece is key. And then once you win, you just build your brand, continue to network, build your brand, and let people know you do great work.
Yeah, that's so good. One of the reasons. So for those of y'all, I know there's new people popping into the stream, and other people popping out. So y'all know, for those of y'all that have been following me for a minute, y'all know that the Texas New Black, we've helped several thousands of people get in the industry. Some of y'all that are here in the chat are in the industry because of our content, or because of resources, or because of connections that we gave. And we realized, because of the size of our audience, and it's really thanks to y'all's support when it comes to the podcast, y'all support when it comes to the platform in general, y'all recommending people to us. Our platform has gotten to such a size, and we've gotten so many different connections, and especially having an amazing resource like Horace, where he's in his bag when it comes to connections and network as well, that we are able to have the Tech Career Accelerator, where instead of you having to go the traditional route of applying to a company and then hoping and waiting to hear back from a recruiter, and that's for the average company. We're talking about like a big tech company like a Microsoft, a Google, a IBM, a Salesforce. The odds of you even getting a response from anyone is like you have less than a 99% or less than a 1% chance of hearing back, or getting an interview. It's actually, they actually did a study on it that said it's either just as hard or harder to get at Microsoft or get at Google than it is to get in the NBA, statistically speaking. And so,
Wow.
which is crazy, but it's but it makes sense. I know people. There's a lot of people that play in the NFL and in the NBA. Like, they actually played, that are in my DMs and have been in my DMs. Literally today, a guy who I know, who he played in the NFL. Major respects to him. Now, I'm not saying this to sound like petty or weird, but he played in the NFL, and he's been hitting me up, trying to get in tech. Wanting to get in the industry, and so you can kind of see the value of it. That being said, that gets cut down when you're able to connect people with the recruiters and the hiring managers. And so that's what we decided to do, where we said, you know what? Yeah, we have amazing education we can give people. We can, we can teach you LinkedIn optimization, give you a perfect resume, perfect cover letter. We can teach you about networking, like in and of yourself, going to networking events, what to do with those events. We can teach you about your having a perfect interview. But it's like, man, let's leverage the network we have to where you can skip the line. And that's why, going back to what Joseph was saying, how Horace was able to connect Joseph with all of these different network and different people. We're doing the exact same thing, but to double it down further, the recruiters and hiring managers that are working with us, they are actively working along with you to help you land the roles of their company. So we have the job placement assistance that you get to land the roles, not just in the tech industry, but at the top tech companies in the world. And so, and if y'all know anything about it, these companies, like, it's not just cool to work with these companies. They pay more on average than, like, that's one of the ways they incentivize top talent, is by paying more, by offering more perks. And so, that being said, literally, if any of you that have done a boot camp already, or you've already went to college to get into tech, make sure y'all tap in, click the link in the description, all of that, and literally, you'll, if you qualify, then we'll be able to literally within a month, you'll be in the interview process with the recruiters and the hiring managers at these big tech companies. You'll be able to choose 2 companies out of our list of companies. And for those of you that don't have those skills, you're like, what do I do? I don't even know what I should do in tech. We have a tech career quiz that, based on your answers, a seven question quiz. Based on your answers, it'll give you 2 options. So that way you still have options, but it'll suggest 2 options based on your answers. And then following you getting those 2 options, it also will highlight our list of companies so you can still choose which ones you want to work at. And then we'll be able to start the process with you. If you need education, you'll get the education. If you don't need the education, we'll just be able to set you up on the interviews. Either way, we have those interviews and the resource and the assistance on the back end. Statistically speaking, having the education and having the referrals and the connections with recruiters and hiring managers, it actually increases your odds by 95% of landing the role. And so that's why we allow you to do it with 2 companies. So that way, even at that little 5% chance that something doesn't work out, you increase your odds with the second company. So we're super excited to do this. But again, I have to thank y'all that we're able to do this, because we're able to do this solely because of y'all support. So please keep sharing our content, let people know about us, because the bigger we're getting, more recruiters, hiring managers, people are finding out about us, and they're like, hey, how can we come alongside of y'all to collaborate, so we can hire people, we can interview people from within your audience and your community. Now, again, we're not sending rinky-dink people to these companies. I want to be very clear. Don't think you coming off the streets and you don't have any skills, any knowledge, and you just thinking, ooh, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do X, Y, Z. No, we make sure it's literally we have you still have to do a training, a 2-week training we have, and then you start your interviews. That training is to make sure you are well refined, and then we also help point you towards the specific best careers for you if you already don't have those skills. Anyway, just make sure that y'all, just want to make sure y'all are aware of that and what we're able to do. So anyway, let's get back to Joseph's story, and then we are going to get to y'all's questions in just a moment right after this. So again, make sure those of y'all on Instagram that y'all are clicking the drop down above my head and then posting your questions. The question box appears. If you're posting your questions in the comment section, I see people posting questions in the comment section, not going to be able to answer it because there's too many comments going and moving. On YouTube and LinkedIn, y'all are fine. Y'all can put your questions in the comment section, because y'all aren't, the chat isn't as crazy and as active as it is on Instagram. So again, on Instagram, click the drop down, post your question so we can answer it. YouTube, LinkedIn, y'all can post y'all questions there. And for everybody, I see people asking like, okay, how do I get access? How do I get access? On Instagram, just comment tech quiz if you need to do the quiz to figure out what's right for you, or just comment big tech if you know what you want to do in the industry, but you just want to now be able to get set up with the interviews with the tech recruiters and others at the tech companies. On LinkedIn, YouTube, y'all click the description down below, and then go ahead and tap on them links, and all of the information will be there for you. Last thing I'm gonna say, then we're gonna get back to the story, get back to his story, his testimony, is we have our tech event that's coming up February 22nd. That is called the Grown and Techie event. It's happening in Atlanta, Georgia, Saturday, February 22nd. We have 200 tickets that have been purchased. We have a capacity, y'all, only 400 people. And so we've only been talking about it now for a little under 2 weeks. We're already at about half capacity. The prices are about to increase. The prices right now are an amazing price point. It's literally just $30. The conference we had last year, the tickets were $200. So this is a significant opportunity to be able to get in and tap in. So make sure y'all on YouTube, LinkedIn, y'all click the link in the description to get your tickets. Those of y'all on Instagram, just comment tech event, and you will be able to get the DM will go to you when it comes to that event. All right, so you've been at Microsoft for a minute now. You've scaled up at Microsoft as well. You're now a manager within the space. Can you talk about the from your vantage point, when you see our community, and not even just our community, but just people in general, but you can speak, we can speak a lot to our community. When you see people that are, we were talking about this a little bit offline. We were talking about how, Harvard, this video is going viral of Harvard students that have gone to Harvard to get in tech, how massive numbers of them are not even able to get interviews. So a lot of the same stuff that a lot of y'all talk about that y'all deal with is happening with white boys from Harvard. And but can you speak to some things that you've seen from your vantage point that you see that people are doing wrong, and also if you can address like any type of, like, honestly, I want to keep it kind of open-ended because I don't want to limit you to like what you could say or what you could share, because I feel like there's probably something you could share that even I don't want to limit you by how, like, even how I would ask the question. So again, I know that's kind of a wild way to ask the question, but just from your vantage point, what are some things that you see that in your heart you're like, yo, people need to be aware of this, or people need to do this?
So people that's already in your job, or people looking to come into the industry?
People, ooh, that's good. I'm happy you did that. So two things. Let's do two people. First, people that are looking to get into the industry. Secondly, people that are looking to get into big tech. We know it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's like you can be in tech and you making good money, but in being in big tech, that's like G League to big dogs.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's speak to both of those people. First, if you could speak to people that are looking to get in the industry. Somebody said, so white boys at Harvard are struggling to get interviews. What chance do black boys have? What we talking about right now?
A big one.
You directly get the interviews because we have the recruiters, the hiring managers. We're collaborating with them. That's the piece they don't have that you have. And so, yeah. Anyway, so back to the question, Joe.
So I don't want to discredit any institutions, but there are, if you're looking to go to school, if you're looking to say, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and get my MBA, then I would say make the choice to go to an institution that has a reputation of building great talent, right? So I get people who, like a lot of things, they want to take the less expensive way out. So they say, oh, I go to Phoenix, or I go to DeVry, whatever institutions that may be there, and I'm gonna take a cybersecurity course, or I'm gonna get a cybersecurity certificate from those schools. And I say, well, I know you don't want to have or pay and have the student loans, but if you're already in Atlanta, you probably want to look at an Emory or a Georgia Tech before you look at somebody that's like further south or something of that nature. That brand is one of the things that helped change my life, is going to Georgia Tech. I made sure that I went to a place that had a brand. The other is watch what you do on your social media profiles. I've seen where a recruiter may just say, man, I got 4 people I'm looking at. They are awesome people, but I don't know exactly who they are. They seem like great people. Let me see if I can go find some more information. And then they go on somebody's Twitter account. They find you on Instagram, or they may find your Facebook, and you're reposting something that could be deemed inappropriate for that company. Now, we all have our own views. We all have the own stuff that we believe in. But when you're looking to get in certain spaces, it sucks that, we are earning a paycheck. We're giving up our time for money from someone else's company. There are sometimes you have to think about what you're going to post or repost or what you're going to say. And I've seen that happen on the back end. Once you're in a space and you're building a brand, it's like anything. If you play sports and I'm your point guard and you show me you ain't running hard in practice, and I'm running my butt off and I'm doing everything, I'm out of breath, and you jogging, I'm not passing you the ball. Like, you're not getting the ball when it's time, when the coach calls your name to get in the game. And it's the same. If I am a hiring manager, which I am at this point, if you are within the company, but I see that you're being lazy and you want to come to my team, man, I may love you as a person. I may think that you're great as a person, but as a worker, somebody that's dedicated, I don't want you on my team. Now, I don't want you here from 7 in the morning to 7 p.m. I'm not going to overwork you. I'm not a micromanager either. My team knows, hey, Joe, man, I got a flat tire. I'm going to come to the office late today. All right, man, just fix your flat tire, go home. Like, why come to the office at 1 o'clock? Bro, just stay home. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm not that doesn't make you a bad or good worker if you come into the office or you have to stay home. So stay home, do your work from there. Is the shop closer to your house or is it closer to work? Oh, it's closer to the house. stay home. Don't come here. Right. But when you're in the office and we see you, just show that you're a good person. Network,
Yeah.
shake hands. If I'm eating lunch and I see that you were waiting by the elevator and you just sparking up conversations with people, I like that person.
Yeah.
I like the intangibles, the stuff that's not going to show up on your resume, the stuff that's not going to show up when you're sitting next to me and we're having a conversation. What type of person are you? How do you interact with other people? How do you treat people that are necessarily don't make as much money as you? That janitor who was out there in the rain when you came into the building and he or she opened the door, did you tell them thank you? Or did you say, oh, man, I appreciate it. You didn't have to do that, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. Did you tell them that, or did you just put your hood on and walk through the door? I am a very people person. I like to see people do great things. I want to help you get there, but I also have to see that you're a good person. If your heart isn't in the right place, if you treat people badly, then I don't want you on my team. I don't want to work around you. But branding has been number one, and continue to learn. Like I tell my people, fail fast. I don't care if you mess up. Like you could mess up. You could fail. But if you fail fast and we correct it, cool. If I come in a meeting with you and we both fail, all right, we failed, but we're gonna learn from it.
Yeah.
But if you fail by yourself and I can't help you, then we don't know which way to go. So fail fast, continuously learning. Make sure that you're a life learner, no matter what it may be. If it's listening to a podcast, if it's showing up and helping train somebody else, because you training someone else helps you retain information, whatever it is, just always be a life learner. Don't give up, don't quit.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that this industry that a lot of people don't realize. I didn't notice that until I got in the industry, and I'm happy a lot of transformation happened with me. Like if I had have gotten in tech the time, like the moment I was trying to get in immediately, like that first year, I would have fumbled it and messed it up because I had a mentality where I just wanted to do what it took just to get in, just so I can get in. But during the time of me working really hard to get in the industry before I finally decided to do a boot camp and got in the industry after that, it took me about a year before I finally said, you know what, I've been trying to get in by myself. Let me finally go ahead and get these resources, get some help. That being said, that year before I decided to do it is when I started listening to different books and, like you mentioned, different podcasts, all of the top books, the Richest Man in Babylon, The Millionaire Next Door, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Definitely.
The Elon Musk story, like not his new one that was just updated, but his story at the time, the story of Steve Jobs, the Everything Store, which is a story about Amazon and Jeff Bezos, the Sam Walton story about Walmart. The list goes on. All of these books I was listening to while Lyft driving on Audible. It transformed. It took me from trying to do the work to get in the industry to where it transformed me to becoming the person who I just was a constant learner at that point. And it wasn't me learning to get something. It was me learning because I became like a real life learner. And to the point you mentioned, what a lot of people don't know about this industry is that, it's like when you get in, it's like being a medical doctor or being a lawyer, where those are fields where there is no medical doctor that stops studying. You have to keep studying when you're a medical doctor, especially to keep up with all the different new procedures and different medicines and equipment and laws that change as to what you can and can't do as a doctor. Same thing as a lawyer. The tech industry is very much so the same way. So I'm happy you mentioned that, being a constant learner, so that way people could like hear that, understand the value of that. Can you speak to, because you mentioned you're a hiring manager, and last two questions I have. I'll ask these last two questions, then we'll get to everyone else's questions, and then we'll get some.
I'm gonna say one more thing, Cyrus. If you're looking at a certain company, keep in mind that there are typically events that you can attend. So if you're in Atlanta, Microsoft has an office in Atlanta. See what public events that they have, right? So DEI on a federal standpoint is gone, but you may want to check and say, hey, Google Microsoft events, in-person events. A New York office may have some, an Atlanta office may have some in Seattle may have some, and sign up for them. Get yourself in there. And when you're in there, shake hands with people. Take emails down and say, hey, can I have a coffee chat with you? Google is here in Atlanta. I'm sure they have a lot of events. Every month they have events. And those may be things that you want to look at to just make sure that you're in those rooms that people are in. The gathering spot is another one. Right?
Yeah.
There's an event coming up for Tech is New Black. So make sure that you're there, and if you can, become a member of the Gathering Spot. There's a lot of things going on there that can help you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. So my questions. One, thank you. Appreciate you. All right. So one,
give Big Brothers pacifier.
Yeah, uno más, por favor. So, going off. So with your hiring manager, obviously we're talking about the people being able to not just do the boot camp, get the education, but on the back end, we're plugging them in with the hiring managers and the recruiters at these companies. One, for some coaching on like how to get the role, but two, for referrals and interviews within the companies as well. Can you speak to, in your opinion, what's the value of that for people? And like if like how much that even matters at all, or how impactful is that for people that are looking to get in the industry? So imagine if there's a person A is like, hey, I'm applying cold to Microsoft, I'm applying cold to Salesforce, or any of these companies, versus person B, same thing, but they're like, hey, also the hiring manager of that department and the recruiter that specifically is recruiting, interviewing for that role, they are actively supporting me when it comes to me getting, like, one, I have the connection with them, two, I have coaching calls with them, and also they're offering a referral as I'm going in the process. Like, from your vantage point, what would you say is the value of that second one versus the person that's just applying cold and waiting to hear back, or even if they're hitting the person up on LinkedIn?
It's invaluable. It brings more than value, because if I am a hiring manager and I'm getting a referral from one of my people on my team, then it already comes with some validation of who that person is that they're referring. Because the person on my team knows what I'm looking for. They know how I am as a manager. So they're bringing me somebody to them that they believe is, I would assume, just as good as they are, or maybe even better at the job. Mm-hmm. And depending on what they say when they bring that person to me, gives me an idea too of what that person may be like. But what it does do, it helps me from having to look through possibly another stack of 50 or 150 resumes. I still have to do that, because I can't just take the referral and move with it. I would love to have somebody that's familiar with me and the culture, and understand, because that'll make it a whole lot better. I've probably, my new role, I've been in for 5 months. I've hired 3 people, 2 have come from referrals. So 66% in 5 months has come through referrals.
Wow. That's incredible. That's actually similar to the statistics that we saw when it came to referrals, and on average, how many people are. So one thing, I'm not gonna get into that, because we got some other stuff. We got these questions and comments and things to get into. So yeah, I wish we had. But anyway, let's get to the questions. Y'all sent some good questions in. So real quick, somebody put in the comments reminding everybody to hit the like button. Yeah, definitely. Y'all hit the like button. For those of y'all, everybody that's on here has been watching. Just make sure you hit the like button, because again, y'all, we have, our goal is to place 2,500 people this year. And that sounds like a lot of people. I know some of y'all probably think, oh, that's a lot of people. That's only 250 people a month. The average day, my team, the career advisors, are talking to well over 80 people that are trying to get these opportunities. And so this is something, literally, and the reason why we open this up for not just the people that are in our bootcamper program, but even those of y'all that have done another bootcamper program, is because a lot of the recruiters that are collaborating with us on this, they've actually been like, yo, we need you to send us more people. Now, not just ragging, but we need to send. So we were like, you know what? Let's open this up to the community of people that are qualified. So make sure y'all are tapping in. But that being said, make sure y'all hit the like button, all that good stuff, because y'all know it helps expand this to where it can show to more people, and we can be a blessing to more people when it comes to our platform. So let me look at the question. Let's see. Let's get to the questions, y'all. So make sure y'all drop y'all's questions right now. So we about to go through a few questions, and then we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna wrap up for the evening. How can I get sponsored to work in the U.S. from the UK? So we have a actual training on this within the program, because I could give a high level answer to that. We don't have the time to sit here to literally give you the entire rundown. Joe, do you? I guess from your vantage point as a hiring manager and other hiring managers that you know, and just obviously the companies that you work at, when it comes to people getting sponsorship to work in the U.S. and they're from the UK, what does that typically look like, or what have you seen in terms of this conversation?
Great question. So I haven't had to deal with that just yet. I do have members on my team who came from different countries and they are on work visas, but I'm not sure what that process is. I know once that they're in the role, and they're looking to move to another role, they typically are a little bit limited on their ability to move unless some things are changed upon or on their work visa. But I'm not quite sure how that works. That's a great question. I can come back. I can ask my recruiter, and there's a place for me to send that message back. I can have it before the end of the day tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'll give a quick breakdown, and this is literally from within our trainings.
I'm gonna step away for 10 seconds, give the baby his pacifier, and I'll be right back. Give me 10 seconds.
Oh, that's totally cool. All right, so for those who are in the UK, or you're in some other country or region and you are looking to get into the industry and you're not in the US, I'm actually looking for our module on it right now, because I have it's a lot in here, but I'm going to see if I can just highlight a couple of the steps that you need to do. All right, here we go. How a non-US citizen can get a US tech job. Oh, let me open this up. All right, here we go. 1 second. All right, so a few things. Again, I'm going to give a high level. If you're not in the US and you're looking to get a tech job, this is a high level. This isn't going to be the full breakdown, because the full breakdown is in our curriculum. And anyway, that being said, so of course, first and foremost, you got to build actual skills and credentials, boot camp, qualifications, certifications, things like that are specific to the role. You need to find companies that are remote first companies. A remote first company is a tech company that only hires remote. Also, you need to make sure that you are targeting roles in the industry that give more grace to you living in a different time zone. So, for example, tech sales is an amazing field in the tech industry, but you do not want to do tech sales if you're trying to work, if you live in a completely other part of the world other than the US or Canada, because tech sales heavily it's a customer facing role where your schedule, it's strongly preferred from companies. Your schedule aligns very closely with US time zone schedules. So a customer facing role would not be optional in most occasions. So you would want to do a non-customer facing role. Like we have DevOps in our program. We also have the QA as well. So those are non-customer facing. Excuse me. Depending on what you're doing in DevOps, let me be very, very clear. There are things in DevOps where your boots on ground and you have to, literally be in person. So let me kind of backtrack on that. It depends on what you're doing, because our program, you learn everything in DevOps. So you'll be able to get opportunities with some things that are boots on ground and some things that are more virtual. So either way, you want to make sure you're doing a non-customer facing role. Then there are companies that have sponsorship opportunities. I'm not going to get into that because, again, that'll be, we have all of that built in and it'll take too much time for you to go over all of that. Companies offer visa sponsorship. And there's honestly a lot in here. We have the entire breakdown as well as the details as to step by step what to do. But we don't have full time for this. I might do a stream on this. I'll probably do a separate stream where I'm just teaching for people that are trying to get in the industry. Last thing I'll say, we actually are currently actively working right now, and specifically Horace and I, because obviously we have a large team, but Horace has been an amazing resource where we are working on how we can open up hiring opportunities for people that live in other countries. So again, we have collaborations with people at Microsoft, at Google, at IBM, Oracle, Salesforce, so on and so forth, but we're looking to start expanding. We're focused on this right now, but in the next couple of months, we are going to focus on companies, recruiters, and people whose companies are hiring people in other parts of the world as well. So definitely tap in with us, and we're going to have some opportunities for those of y'all that live in other parts of the world. Anyway, let's see any other.
I'm trying to see if there's any questions here.
Yeah, so someone put in the chat, they say, I'm living in the Midwest, Iowa. What are my chances of landing a high tech job? Because they live in Iowa.
If you are, most of the time, they don't really care where you are, depending on. When I got to Microsoft, they have an office in Fargo, and I was like, who has an office in Wyoming? Right. So Wyoming is coming to be a big booming tech hub. Mr. Wonderful, that you all may know from
Shark Tank.
From Shark Tank, they're building like the largest data center, one of the largest data centers in the U.S. that's going to be in Fargo. Microsoft has a large presence in Fargo. But I know people who live in remote places in Idaho, and they have South accounts at Microsoft. I know people who live in small places in like North Dakota, and they have West accounts, right? So being that you're in the Midwest, you kind of actually have the best of both worlds, because if I am a hiring manager, I often don't want to hire somebody who lives in the South if I have West Coast accounts, right? That's a 3-hour difference. But you're right in the Midwest. If you're an hour behind, if you're a Central Time, you can possibly service the West Coast accounts and the East Coast accounts because you're not too far off. So I would say just apply, right? And some of them, we're seeing a lot more roles now that say hybrid. A lot of them are going to say, hey, 2 or 3 days in office. But in the event that they like you, they love you, they think you fit the role and the culture of the company just right. If you're not within a certain mile radius, they're okay with you working 100% from home. You just have to show within that first 6 months that you can get the job done. And there's a learning curve. So don't think in the first 6 months you have to knock the ball out the park. Some of these tech roles have a huge learning curve. When I got to Microsoft, they told me it's going to be about 2.5 years before I even understood what I was really doing. Right. So you have, when I talk about failing fast, you have that time to fail fast, correct it, bring in as many resources as you can, ask as many questions to help you get the job done. But I don't care if you're in Idaho, I don't care if you're at the bottom of the panhandle or the highest in the northwest. A tech company, if they like you, if you present yourself well, if you interview well, you can get hired for sure.
Yeah, that's it's a lot of companies, despite the news, y'all, it's over the number is still about 63% of companies, or 63% of people in tech work remote or hybrid. And so, the news is going to do what the news do. It does a lot of fear mongering. And again, it's true. Like a lot of companies are shifting back to in office. So I'm going to be very clear about that. Nevertheless, there's companies that are called remote first, like I said, where they don't even have an office to call you back to. And then 2, there are other companies that it works better for them, or just their executives, their leaders are like, hey, we're cool with people working from home. We don't really see a reason for people to come back to the office. It really depends on leadership and just the overall decision they're making and their why behind it. So, but there's a ton of opportunity at different companies, or even if we're not talking remote, there's companies that are in your city, or companies that are about to be in your city. So it's ample opportunities, ample. And again, with the Tech Career Accelerator that we have, we'll be able to take all of that into account. And with amongst the 10 companies that are hiring that we'll be able to connect you with recruiters and hiring managers. We'll be able to pinpoint the companies that are either remote or have offices in your city. So that way, when you're choosing the companies, it's not you just choosing blindly or choosing cold, but it's choosing the best opportunities that are there for you. And so, someone asked, how do you help people coming from other boot camps? I completed part of my training. So yeah, so simply put, the way that we help you. So to give kind of a quick overview, as soon as you sign up for if you've already done a boot camp or you've already went to college for tech, the first week, as soon as you get access, it's 1 week of training within the Tech Career Accelerator, and it's self-paced training, but it's built out to be about a week long when it comes to the training. Immediately after the training is over, you schedule your vetting interview. So you schedule your vetting interview with a hiring manager. Vetting interview verifies the two companies you want to work at and make sure that those are the best for you, or if one of the other companies or other roles are best for you. Now, also part of the vetting interview is to make sure you actually do have the qualifications. Because again, we got to have checks and balances. Someone like yourself, where you've done a boot camp already, maybe a quality boot camp, hopefully, you would be good to go. But there's other people that will try to game the system and just say, like, I'm gonna just join the program and try to get a certain role. We're not sending no rinky-dink people to these recruiters and hiring managers. We have to make sure, because the reason why we're not doing that, our goal, like, straight up, we here to get people jobs. We're not here to play no cute stuff and be like, yeah, do this program, whoop, whoop, whoop. My brand, I'm gonna just say it straight up. People rock with me because people trust me. They've seen me help people get into the industry. People trust Horace. Horace has, like Joseph, like he was talking about, like, people trust Horace. He has a lot of respect because, like, we actually care about helping people. Because when you're already in tech and you already have a nice bag and you're making good money, it's like, you ain't about to tarnish your brand or tarnish your life by doing something like slick on the side. So we don't want people, and I say this respectfully, we don't try to game the system and try to, think you're gonna finesse it. Again, if you've done a boot camp or you went to college or you have like you worked in corporate, because again, it's not limited to tech sales. We'll be able to help you out. If you don't have those skills, again, we have the curriculum. We have education to give you. And then on the back end, we'll still plug you in with those recruiters so you can get these opportunities. So those are the ways we're able to help you. So after day 7, you schedule your vetting interview. The vetting interview, again, is 2-part. Part of it shows you which companies are best for you out of the 10 list of big tech companies. It verifies what you want to do with those companies and make sure that it's the best fit for you. And then immediately after that, you get paired with 2 recruiters and 2 hiring managers from each company. And then you have your recruiting interview with the recruiter, where they make sure you're good to go with your mock interview, as well as understanding how to interview at their company. Then you get passed over to the hiring manager, where they make sure, either on a technical level or on a sales level, depending on what the role is, they make sure that you actually have that aptitude, and whatever it is you're lacking, they will pinpoint that. So that way we can help you get refined. After that, you get put into you get the referral. We go through the application process with you for you to land the interview, and then we support you through your interview process, while the recruiter and hiring manager, of course, also supporting you. So that's the way the process goes. I kind of gave 2 examples based on whether or not you need the education. But yeah, that's how we're able to help people who've already done a boot camp or went to college, or help people who don't have the knowledge or education. And again, I want to be very clear. We've helped thousands get into the industry without doing this. We've helped people straight up just by education, and then showing you how to leverage LinkedIn and cover letter, resume, interviewing, training, but you still doing all of the work on the back end. This extra piece is where I'm not gonna say it makes it dummy proof, but it's like, yo, it's some amazing sauce in that sense. But anyway, somebody said they seem messed up. People will mess up the brand and mess it up for the brand. Yeah. So, but again, we good. We're not gonna let nobody. We ain't gonna be. We're gonna make sure people are good to go. And y'all, people that come to us for the most part is good people with good intentions. So, and it is virtual, by the way. I see somebody asked that. Anyway, we about to go ahead and get ready to wrap up. Before we do, Joe, bro, I want to. My bad, I call you Joe. I don't know if you go by Joe or Joseph.
Man, anything that derives from Joseph, I answer to. I see some of my cousins popped in. Some of the things that they call me, it derives, I'm all good with it. It works for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Okay, cool. So I guess before we wrap up, what is something you want to leave the people with just for them to like marinate on, or something to inspire them or to kind of get them in the right frame of mind?
Man, I would say tech can change your life, right? If you the biggest piece is trying to figure out where you want to go within tech, because tech sales itself is pretty large. You have pre-sales, post-sales, you have sales engineering, you have specialists, and they can break that down at a later time. And I'm all more than welcome to come back and bring me on. But it can change your life. The certifications are a game changer because now you don't have to have an MBA to get the interviews or get the jobs, right? When I was coming, certifications was there, but the MBA still meant a lot. Now, a lot of those MBA requirements are preferred, and they're not really looking at education as much. But if you got certifications and trainings, they're going to look at you.
Mm-hmm.
Take it from me as a young kid. I'll be 37 in April. I was not the best undergrad student, so it took me 10 years to graduate, right, from undergrad. I dropped out. I got kicked out of J. Mac Robinson College of Business in Georgia State. I then ended up going to Andrew Young School of Policy, getting my economics degree. Young kid moving from Los Angeles or Pacoima to Atlanta, played basketball, wanted to be a basketball star. I'm only 5'8". I could probably beat most of you in one-on-one, but I'm only 5'8", so I'm not going to NBA. I didn't know what was next for me. And when I got into tech, I was making $65,000 a year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
My first year, my salary more than tripled. My sign-on bonus was just as much as my salary was when I left banking.
Wow.
I'm a kid that, right, it may look a little different now because I'm older. Inner city kid, so I dealt with all the inner city stuff that many of us have dealt with in the inner city, with friends, family, people who were addicts, people who were back and forth to prison. And a lot of times we're stuck in those and like in our environment, and we think we can't make it. But I'm telling you, if you put your head down, you figure out what you want to do in tech, or ask around, get a mentor. I'm always a person you can reach out to on LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever it may be, and help you set yourself up on a path. If you give yourself a good 6 to 9 months, you'll be looking at something completely different come January of 2026. And
Mm-hmm.
that's almost a guarantee. Even if it's not Microsoft, Amazon, even if you're not in New York, Atlanta, if you're in Idaho and you're trying to figure out what tech companies are there, what startups, who are looking for account executives or specialists, I'm sure they are there, and you can find it. And if you're looking to get across that 6-figure mark and have bonuses and stock options and all that, I'm telling you, 6 to 9 months can change your life tremendously.
Yeah. I love that so much. And for those of y'all that already have the skills, within a month, you'll be in interviews with these the individuals at these companies. So, but definitely, man, love that so much, bro, for all the gems you shared. Yeah. So someone, I mean, he's here on the stream. So someone asked how they can reach out to you. He's here in the stream, so you could probably just maybe tap in with him either on LinkedIn or probably message him on Instagram. So that being said, look, y'all, again, for those of y'all that are tuning in and missed out, we just had a conversation with Joe, who currently is he's a manager in the sales and the tech sales department at Microsoft, the number one tech company in the world. And he's been in the industry now.
But I left Microsoft 5 months ago. I'm at SAP
Oh yeah,
now.
yeah. SAP now,
Right.
SAP now. Yeah. So
SAP.
so he elevated, and I'm assuming when you left, it was either for more pay and or like higher. This isn't like saying anything bad about
Both.
Microsoft. It's a great company. Okay, so a higher position
Yeah.
and higher pay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to leave Microsoft, right? And I was on the management track at Microsoft. I was still, I like SAP, the culture, but I tell you all, just like I tell my manager, my skip level manager, I have yet, and I worked at JP Morgan, I worked at Wells Fargo, I worked at Bank of America, worked at Microsoft, now at SAP. I have yet to find a place that I've worked for that had the benefits and culture that Microsoft has. Right. So
Wow.
I will never talk bad about them. They help change my life and the people around me. SAP is great. I love the people that's there. I don't plan on leaving no time soon. It's not even in my scope of thought right now, but I'm telling you, these tech companies are crazy amazing.
That's beautiful.
And
That's beautiful.
if you don't know SAP, some people may not know SAP. They're not a brand that you see for the end user, but SAP touches about 92% of the world's money. So
Whoa.
when you think about money being changed hands or through systems, at some point it probably went through SAP. If you work somewhere and you ever use Concur, that's one small SAP product. Small SAP product.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, yeah, because it's interesting, this industry, because there are companies that are very popular, and there's other companies that have just as much money or almost as much money, but they're just not as popular media wise. Their brand isn't, isn't as well known, and so that's very, very interesting. Like I'm familiar with SAP, but in terms of that, like that statement you made about touching 92% of the world's money, that's insane.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Look, that's incredible. Incredible, incredible. Floyd Lane, I see your comment. You said, I've been stagnant for the past 5 months after completing my boot camp. So I'm going to be real with you. 5 months isn't a long time. That's not like a long time to. Now, again, it only took me 2 months after my boot camp to start at my first company. And obviously, a lot of other people in our community, people who have gotten in shorter time than that. But 5 months is not a long time. Nevertheless, I'll say two things. One, again, we have our Tech Career Accelerator. Literally, we'll plug you in with interviews with recruiters and hiring managers at these big tech companies. So I know you've been stagnant, but that's why we created this, because most people just need the boot camp education and the resources. But this other piece we have is to help those other people that have been having issues being able to land some of these opportunities. So you're literally skipping to the front of the line in terms of opportunities, in terms of connections. So that's the purpose of that. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say, and I'm not saying you have a bad mindset or bad mentality. It's hard to understand text, in comments on social media. It's hard to understand tone. I mean, that being said, for you and for anybody else, if anyone has like a very kind of negative, downtrodden mindset, my encouragement to you before even like coming to us or signing up or anything like that is for you to like really pray and work on your mentality, your mentality, and like just your hopefulness, because this opportunity we have, y'all, is insane. What we're doing, like what we're doing is crazy, and we want to make sure that we're working with people with good spirits, with good hearts, people that are motivated, people that are excited about this opportunity. Because we again, we're very limited of how many people we can offer this to. So with that being said, we're not gatekeeping, but we want to make sure that we're giving this to people that aren't just knowledgeable or have the skills, but also people that are good culture fits for these companies. And so we're not just the vessel that's saying, hey, let's make sure you got the education, but also that you have the right mentality, the right, just the right culture, being a culture fit for these companies. Because that's another thing that'll hurt you. So that's very, very important when it comes to hiring managers and recruiters, is you being a good culture fit. So that's the only thing I'm saying. Again, I'm not saying you have a bad spirit or bad mentality. Again, I don't know tonality, through comments. You know how it is on social media, but at least I want to address that. So we have the resource to help you, um, more than the resource to help you. But the thing I care about is making sure, even when you come to us, that it's something that you're excited about and that you're operating out of a level of faith and not out of a level of fear or a level of like, oh, is this really going to work? Anything like, don't think like that. Like we got you, we're going to work with you. And it's not like a one and done. We're not a boot camp in the sense that we try like you try and it doesn't work. We're a community where we constantly are giving you opportunities, resources, referrals, trainings, updates. Like even after you get in the industry, we don't tell people bye. We say, hey, stay here so we can help you scale further, and also so you can offer a referral to people that are in the community. So, because our goal, I'm gonna just say this to y'all, what we're doing. So I'm stopping the whole get into tech thing in 2 years. We're shifting the focus to collaboration to all create startups and be investors. We've helped thousands of people get in the industry. We're doing this for 2 more years. Literally, end of 2026, I'm gonna make a huge announcement. I'm gonna do a countdown, and I'll be like, hey, now we only focus on helping people that are in the industry scale, and helping people that are high level, high net worth. Us come together to create startups and be investors into one another's startups. So anyway, that's that. Look, y'all, appreciate y'all for being here. Joe, man, thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your nuggets and gems, for taking up your evening, your time to come on here, share your knowledge, tell your story about how the work that you did, that you put in, and how the value, the knowledge, the resources, the networking that our instructor, that Horace was able to give you, and how that allowed you to accelerate much further, and kind of highlighting the value that people get when it comes to Tech Networking Accelerator, Tech Career Accelerator. And so, aside from that, appreciate you so much. Shouts out to all y'all that came on here, for y'all investing your time to come on here, get some gems and nuggets. Thank you for everybody that was in the chat that's already in the industry, and y'all are sharing different nuggets and different gems. Appreciate y'all so very much. Again, make sure y'all hit the like button on y'all's way out. Make sure if you don't know what you need to do in tech, take our tech career quiz. We'll plug you into the companies that are hiring for those roles. And aside from that, y'all, God bless you. Have a beautiful night. I'm in Cartagena, Colombia. I got a reservation. I'm about to go out.
Hey, well, y'all appreciate it, man. Y'all have a great one. And y'all see there's another little young black boy that just entered the chat, Trey. He's another one that works for Horace. So it's some Microsoft people in here, man. And Horace helped a lot of us out. So I could bring in 4 or 5 more people, but tonight it was just me. But it's a lot of us.
I love it. I love it. We're gonna be tapping in with more people. Yes. So those of y'all that are in the chat, y'all are at Microsoft or other companies, or y'all are tapping in with Horace. Hey, reach out to me or reach out to Horace if because y'all got value to share. So please reach out. We would love to be able to interview y'all, to allow you to share your story, your experience, and just allow you to be a blessing, a further blessing to people. Shouts out to Horace right there in the chat. Big tech money, big tech money. Hey, look, y'all, it's a blessing. It's beautiful. Love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you again, Joe.
Man, anytime. Have a great one. Thank you.
All right, bro. Peace.